Right now, everyone's asking the same question. Is AI gonna replace salespeople? And honestly, that's the wrong question. It's not the individual reps that are getting wiped out, it's entire companies. Companies that are still running on a messy CRM, companies that are still making hires with their gut feeling, or companies that are expecting reps to use their playbooks that haven't been updated in years. They're getting buried by leaner companies that have built AI into the foundation of how they operate. I've coached over 5,000 salespeople. I've collected over $60 million in cash with my sales teams. And one of the teams I've built from scratch now does over $20 million a year. But if you looked under the hood of most of it, it's not run by people. It's run by a system. And the core of that system is Claude AI. In this video, I'm gonna give you the whole system layer by layer so you can copy it into your own company. And pay close attention when we get to layer number 3, because that's the layer that pulls you out of the day-to-day for good. And it's the part almost everyone builds wrong. And I'm not telling you this as some AI guy. I've been the setter, the closer, the manager, the operator, and now owner. I automated work I used to do myself by hand for years. I wish I had something like this 5 years ago, because it's taken me 7 years to get to this point, which now can be done in a year if you just follow the system. So the system runs in 3 layers. Layer number 1 is intelligence, how your business essentially sees itself. Layer number 2 is performance, how your reps improve. Layer number 3 is leverage, how your business ultimately runs without you. And each layer feeds into the next. So let's start with layer number 1, the intelligence layer. This is what actually makes your business see itself. And I'm starting here for one simple reason. You cannot fix what you can't see. And most sales teams are flying completely blind and they don't even know it. I've seen some horrible data management. I've seen some disgustingly bad setup CRMs. And when you have something like that, you just have no chance. And I'm telling you this because I ran teams blind for years. Back in my early days, every decision was a gut feeling. I thought this rep was good, I hired him. If I felt like the funnels was working and it looked nice to me, then it was working. That wasn't true operating. That's just guesswork with extra steps. Now, here's the problem, right? If I asked you what your show rate was, your close rate was, what's your cash per booking, last 7 days, last 14 days, trailing 30 days, would you have that answer? And would you be confident in knowing exactly who your top 3 reps are and exactly what objections and challenges that they're facing and what they need to work on? If you don't know the answers to those questions, then your sales team right now has a massive bottleneck because you don't know exactly what you need to fix. That's going to be the highest leverage impact for you. And if you're in that position where you don't know, every decision is a reaction, right? You're not proactively doing things that the company needs. You're always fighting the business. You make a new hire when your calendar is already packed. You coach the wrong rep on the wrong thing. You spend weeks firefighting instead of actually building. And here's how Claude fixes that. There's 3 main things. Number 1, the most important is your call data. If you aren't running the last 500 calls that you've taken for your company through AI to get analysis on everything that's happening, who your avatar is, what your objections are, who your ICP is, what are the main objections those avatars face, what is your best closer ICP, what personality traits do they have that is converting the best for your audience, then actually set up a sales playbook that is actually working today. Use Claude to quality check if the reps are actually following that playbook that is proven to work by data. If you do that correctly, you're gonna know exactly which closers are actually producing revenue and what they're doing to do so. Not who you think is good just because if you like them or not, if their speed to lead is on point, but what the data is saying is good. So the second point is your reporting. Once your call and sales data is centralized, Claude can now structure that into real operational intelligence. So now once you have the sales data and everything's centralized, now you can use Claude to run real analysis on your entire sales data. You can go back 60, 90, 120 days and see where the money is leaking. And if you find that leaky bucket, now you can finally problem solve and come up with strategies to bring that money back to the table. Otherwise, you'll just call it as lost pipeline. And there's so much money I've been able to find by doing it this way, because now you're just operating at the highest level possible and creating a system that allows you to just capture all this revenue that was lost by humans. And I'm gonna give you an example. One of my clients, Doug, runs an AI agency offer. And when we ran the data to Claude, we found that one of the reps wasn't able to handle a certain type of prospect. So what we did was we took the closer that handles that specific avatar and converts them at the best rate. So we just sent everyone a message to rebook on that calendar's rep. And over the next 2 weeks, those same leads that we marked as lost, we collected over $120,000 in that 2-week process. And we would have lost all that money if we didn't do this. And I did the same thing with my client Chance, and we recovered $80,000 in about 30 days. Third is market research. Now, before AI, as a sales guy, I was dependent on the marketers to do their jobs to give me everything that I needed. But the reality is no one really did deep market research to gain intelligence on how we need to sell this prospect. We would just get leads and have to figure it out over 50, 100, 200 calls. Now, me as a sales guy, I can proactively figure out exactly who my prospects are, what their pain points are, what their objections are, what are they complaining about with our competitors, and understand exactly how they need to be spoken to in our sales process with all of our sales assets to be able to handle their objections before we make the pitch and price drop. And when you're able to create a sales process like that, the sales momentum that you get when leads are just closing just because you spoke exactly how they needed to be spoken to, that's what happens when you start using AI correctly in your sales process. So quick thing before layer 2, if you're watching this and thinking this is exactly what my business needs, but there's no chance I have the time to build it all by myself, that's literally what my team does at Trident Growth. We go into businesses like yours and build this sales operating system for you. And that's what we did for one of our clients, Hillary. Before we came in, she was doing around $80,000 a month. She was the only sales rep. She had her CRM in a Google Sheet. Whenever she tried to bring on new sales rep, everything that worked for her was only in her mind, and there was no system for her to onboard her. And the time that it took to onboard that rep, it would take her about 1 month to onboard the rep, and by the time she onboarded them, and if they didn't perform, she already wasted 2 months of time. And in 4 months, we were able to take her from 80K all the way up to 400K. So just check out the first link in the description below and book a call directly with my team. Now let's get into layer 2, because this is where the system actually starts making you money. Layer 2 is the performance layer. This is where the system stops just watching your team and starts making every rep better every single week without you personally coaching every one of them. Let me tell you about my first sales job, okay? I started in a call center and they made me do role plays in front of a classroom of 30 people. And I started so much through mine, I hated it, that I told my friend that I was gonna quit two weeks in. But 6 months later, I was one of the top reps in that entire company. And so the lesson is nobody shows up to sales good, or at least I didn't. You get built to be great when you get direct feedback from someone in your corner actually correcting you. That's how every good closer I've ever met got great. Now here's the problem about the sales management role. You have one manager who has one way of coaching, and you have multiple different reps that have different personalities that also have different selling styles. And now every sales manager, what they do is they sit on the call one by one, review the call and review the script and be like, hey, you should say this instead of saying this. And they're looking at the call in a very micro format. Like they're looking line by line. They're not seeing the bigger picture. They're not seeing who this avatar is and what this avatar struggles with and what this avatar is gonna object to or have concerns about. And if you get this avatar, you should say this, but if you get this avatar, you should say this. And having this cohesive sales playbook that can now coach up reps wherever they're weakest and take their strengths and coach the other reps wherever they're weakest. So this way, when you take good parts from every other rep on your team and you would just listen to all these calls, looking at such a micro problem, and that's how you would do it. The manager wouldn't even know that whatever they coach them on, are they actually seeing improvements? You wouldn't even be able to gauge how they're performing. You would just look at if they're bringing in cash, great. If they're not bringing in cash anymore, all right, time to let them go. And when you let them go, you're like, okay, I let them go, but like, why did this person not succeed? And that's the problem that so many companies are stuck in, where they're constantly churning reps, hiring new reps, and going through the same process, because the core root of why that's happening is they don't know why these reps aren't closing. And the manager is the bottleneck because the manager doesn't know what's going on either. So here's how Claude actually helps you. Again, I'm breaking down layer by layer, and everything is connected. You have the data, you have the analysis, you have the avatars, you have the ICP, you have the pain points of these different people. Now, when you have this data, when a rep is struggling and they need to get coached, the manager, before the one-on-one session even happens, look at exactly which avatar and main objection or concern the rep dropped the ball on. Look at the most updated part of the playbook and say that, hey, this is how you should be handling it. And if the playbook isn't updated, you go into Claude and check the various 500,000 calls in your database and be like, hey, show me a scenario where a rep handled this specific scenario with this specific avatar, and give me multiple different solutions on how to address this. Now you're able to just show the rep those multiple different options, and the rep is going to be blown away by the amount of support and coaching, because you're giving him very specific tactical feedback that he can go implement in his very next call where he faces that exact same prospect, versus you giving them a very subjective feedback where it's because of the vibe, it's because where it's just subjective, because that's how most managers coach. They just give what they feel is right, what they would have done in that rep shoes, but maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe the manager has a different selling style than that rep, and that's not going to work for that rep ever. And so that's how you solve this problem with data and analysis and AI. If you guys notice like the difference in coaching that can happen when you start using Claude and AI, just comment down below and let me know if this type of insights is helpful for you guys. Now the second part is the scripts and playbooks, right? The call analysis already told you what's working. Claude turns that into a living script and playbook and updates that whenever new objections surfaced or whenever new problems are coming up. So what I did with one of my biggest teams that's doing over $20 million a year is we took the main avatars and made sure we drilled all of those avatars, objections, and frameworks and scripts into the new reps. And over the last 60 days, we've doubled our cash per booking on a team that's already generating 7 figures a month. So for us, this late in the game, even with a mature company, we're able to do this. We were able to find so much more room for optimization when we already thought we were doing great. Now, third is the sales assets. And this is one of my favorites, because what I want to do as an owner is I want to make my sales reps' lives as easy as possible. And I don't want to depend on sales talent to do the job. I would rather have a system or a process do that. And when you build the right sales assets, what ends up happening is you stop depending on your top closers and you start depending on a system that's repeatable that everyone else can use as well. For example, you get a new objection that you've never gotten on Monday, and you review that call, and by Tuesday, you've built a new sales asset, a new playbook, a new document, a new web page, a new lead magnet, a new testimony that you can send to the prospect pre-call or post-call if they had that concern. And again, if I needed something like this in the past, it would take me weeks. I would have to hit up my copywriters, I would have to reach out to my designers, and it would take like 2-3 weeks. And by the time it's done, I got so many other problems I have to worry about. It takes me about an hour, and now my team can use it forever. Now, this is the part I care about the most. When I started, I had no coaches, no programs. I brought 10 plus friends from back home and trained them up myself from zero. They've never been in this industry, never did sales in their life. Those same guys, 5 years later, are running $10,000 to $30,000 a month today. So now you can see the business and your team getting better week after week, but there's still one person stuck in the middle of it all, and that's you. And layer 3 is how we fix that. So now layer 3, the leverage layer. This is the layer that takes you, the founder and operator, out of the machine. Because right now, if you stepped away for 2 weeks, your sales team would feel it. That's the trap. You built this business to give you freedom, and somewhere along the way, you became the most unremovable person in it. And I learned leverage the hard way. For years, I tried to do everything myself, just outwork everybody. Don't trust anyone but you. Then I built an outbound team. That first month, the team did 220K. Next month, 300. The month after, 450K out of thin air. That was money I could have never produced with my own 2 hands, no matter how hard I worked. That's when leverage actually clicked for me. Now, here's the thing. As the founder, you have all the context, you have all the knowledge, all those processes are in your head, the admin, the coordination, messaging, the finance team, the VAs, the tech people, whenever something breaks, everyone goes to you to solve that problem. This is exactly what this layer removes. And there's 4 things that make up this layer. First is the CRM admin. So we want to make sure that the data that the CRM has is 100% accurate. And what that means is taking the AI extraction. Second, the AI SDRs. AI handles the booking reminders, the confirmations, the calendar coordination, the follow-up, all the repetitive logistics that a VA or admin should be doing. Your human talent only ever does revenue generating activities. Third is hiring. You can use Claude to analyze interview transcripts and mock calls and score your candidates against the traits of your highest converting reps. And layer 1 already defined what a great rep looks like in your business using real data, so hiring stops being a gut call. And I've always thought that making decisions on hiring talent is still one of the 80-20 decisions that a founder can make. Until I started using AI to replace my decision-making process. And now I can just have my recruiters and my team conduct the interviews, but they plug in the Claude skills and the Claude interviewing frameworks using the sales rep playbooks to determine if it's a good fit. Now all I have to do is look at, does this candidate match the closure ICP that I'm looking for? That's going to make the highest revenue for my team. And fourth is knowledge management. Every single playbook, every single SOP, all your onboarding, all your call data centralized into one organized brain so that new reps ramp up faster and the company compounds instead of resetting every time someone leaves. This is your IP. This is the data that you already have, you're just not utilizing. So that's all the 3 layers, but knowing the system and building the system are 2 completely different things. So here's the exact order to build it. Here's where almost everyone gets this wrong. They see all of this and they run straight into the advanced stuff, the AI SDRs, the fancy automations, while their foundation is still broken. That's like hiring closers before you have any leads, or the sequence of things matter. So here's the exact build order. Step number 1, centralize your data, get every call and every number into one structured place. Nothing else works until this exists. Step number 2, automate the admin. Kill the CRM data entry, the manual coordination first. These are the quickest wins that are gonna free up your time immediately. Step number 3, layer in the reporting. Build the KPIs, have clean dashboards so that you can see the entire company and where it's stuck in just one clean view. And step number 4 is optimize training. Once you can finally clearly point out this is exactly where rep is stuck and this is the next thing that they need to work on, that's when your coaching can get so much more dialed in and the rep improvement increases so much faster. And understand, you're not replacing your company overnight. You're building an operating system underneath it, one layer at a time. Humans still do the human work. AI just runs the operations around them. And here's the truth. The companies that win the next 10 years won't be the ones with the most salespeople. They'll be the ones ran by operators who built AI into the foundation while everyone's still arguing whether AI could replace salespeople or not. You've got the full system now. If you want my team to build it out for you instead of you figuring it out alone, click the link below, speak with my team, and we'll see if we can help you out. And before any of this, before the systems, before the AI, before it all, I want to show you where this whole journey actually started for me, because none of this would exist if I hadn't been broke with negative $26 in my bank account at 22 years old, getting fired from a gas station and a pizza shop. This video right here is the full story of how I went from negative $26 to $35 million. Watch that next. I'll see you in the next one.